Hey everyone, it's David from mdbootstrap.com. In today's episode of the Daily Coder, we're gonna deep dive into evolving world of design, typography, open source, and the latest in database technology. Without further ado, let's get started. The design revolution, typography and the web design in 2023. We've seen a burst of creativity in web typography in this year. From rich typefaces to 3D styles and bold fonts, the trends have shown that typography is not just about choosing pretty fonts, it's about making a significant impact. So, what's the psychology behind the typography? An intriguing study showed that typography directly influences how our brain processes and retains information. Even fonts that are harder to read, like monotype cursiva, might make you remember more. Sounds counterintuitive, but it's backed by research. In a recent article from Design Studio, we can learn key important facts of typography. First, accessibility. Proper typography can make web content more accessible, especially for people with the cognitive disabilities. Then, let's not forget about direct attention. Using typography strategically can guide a viewer's attention. Obviously, it also helps with visual hierarchy, which helps in establishing clear flow of the content. And finally, and most obviously, it is used for branding. Think of Adidas and their fonts. That's the power of consistent branding through typography. So what are 2023 top typography trends according to the Design Studio? A. Go bold. Brands are adopting bold fonts to make strong impression. B. Brutalism, a style that's more in your face than typical bold typefaces. C. Highlighted text. For users who skim through, highlighting key point is gaining popularity. D. As 3D typography. Give depth and is seen as a future-oriented. E. Animated typography. Interactive and immersive experience like what Google Doodles are using. F. Monospaced fonts. Not just for the coders anymore. It's becoming mainstream due to its readability. And G. Color fonts. Moving away from the traditional black text, especially for the dark mode designs. Wrapping up, typography is evolving, and it's evident how much impact it has on branding, user experience, and web design aesthetics. If you're looking to refresh your website, it might be time to consider these trends. Do check out the full article, you're gonna find the link to it in the description down below. Speaking of typography, Craig Buckler made a list of the best programming fonts. Did you ever wonder which font do you use in your IDE? Why is it important? A good font makes reading code easier and reduce your eye strain. A perfect blend of readability and aesthetics, programming fonts play an integral role in a developer's life. Considering the time we spend staring at the screen, it's imperative to have a font that suits your eyes and style. Craig presents some of the best out of there, most of which are free. So what is a good font? Clear characters, uniform width, and a good readability across sizes. You can also check programmingfonts.org, where you're gonna find hundreds of different fonts and check which one you like the most. Recently, GitHub released an interesting guide on open source called Maintaining Balance for Open Source Maintainers, Tips for Self-Care and Avoiding Burnout. I have to admit that working on open source since 2016, I can absolutely relate to it. Sometimes it's difficult to handle all the pressure you gather from the community when you make an open source project. Striking the right balance is crucial to avoid burnouts and to continue to contribute effectively. What are the key practices for maintaining balance? First, recognize your motivation. Reflect on what drives you in the open source domain. Recognizing your intrinsic motivation can steer you towards more fulfilling tasks and keep you engaged. Secondly, acknowledge stress triggers. Identify the factors that push you off balance. Common triggers include a lack of feedback, an inability to say no, isolation, resources constraint, and conflicting demands. Number 3, monitor burnout signs. Be proactive. Use tools like burnout checklists and personal ecology assessment to gauge your mental state. Some maintainers even employ wearable technology to measure stress-linked metrics. And finally, sustain yourself and your community. Delegate on content, seek funding, optimize with tools, rest and recreate, establish boundaries, and negate toxicity. Open source maintainers are prone to burnout, marked by a loss of motivation, inability to focus, and lack of empathy. Embracing personal ecology is a means to actively avoid burnout, prioritize self-care, and perform at one's best. If you are open source contributor yourself, I strongly encourage you to check the entire guide. Link, as always, in the description down below. Postgres 16 is out. One of the standout features in Postgres 16 is enhancements to logical replication. Previously, logical replication could only occur on the primary database, which placed an increased load on it. With this update, even standby servers can handle replication, effectively distributing the replication load. Furthermore, monitoring has received a significant boost in this version. Other monitoring enhancements help users understand index usage and detect any changes in the query plans. However, it seems that the Postgres 16 was mostly preparation for the Postgres 17 release. Several features set the stage for even more powerful capabilities in future releases. To name few, Direct I/O and Async I/O, these have been in the works for some time, and with Postgres 16, foundational elements have been set in place. Postgres 17 might be where users first witness their advantages. And secondly, active-active replication. An update in this release prevents replication loops in logical replication, paving the way for more advanced bidirectional replication in the future. In conclusion, Postgres 16 continues the tradition of delivering robust and innovative features that cater to the evolving needs of its diverse user base. Finally, I'm thrilled to announce that MDB has just released the newest version 6.4.2. However, like in case of Postgres, this is just the preparation step for something big which is coming in the next release, because we are re-engineering the whole theming in MDB. This is gonna be a huge step for the entire library. I'm probably even more excited about upcoming Tailwind Elements release. Just to remind you, and as you can guess, Tailwind Elements is UI kit based on Tailwind. We recently released stable version. Thank you for watching today's episode of The Daily Coder. I hope you enjoyed it. If you like it, let me know down below in the comments. If you didn't like it, also let me know what else we could do to make it better. Thank you for watching and keep coding.